Hello again, my friends. Welcome once more back to the cellar, back to Leopard Street. Been away for a few days, so this is going to be a fairly quick one, just covering some of the little bits and pieces I've been working on. I've not done any more on the power rewiring. I'm going to get back to that at the weekend, so this video is on other bits and pieces. Saturday's video will probably be on other bits and pieces as well. Hopefully I'll be back next week on Tuesday with a video with the wiring done. We'll have a quick look at it, and then we'll test some trains because I need to soak test the power to see how it works. Anyway, so let's have a little look at what I've been up to in the past couple of days. This is Leopard Street. First up, I've had some post. What do we got? I have servos. These are going to power the points. Got 10 of those. I have, where are we? You saw the things some of the bits and pieces last time. 3mm infrared LEDs have turned up. Ian over at Train of Thought thinking, just use the 5mm ones. Yeah, I want them to fit between the sleepers, and I don't want them to be too obvious. So the thinking is, because I've got all the sensors as well, I've got to take the LEDs off. Let me just open one, I'll show you. Open one of these up and get into it. This is how they come. Now, I'm going to mount. So if you're going to mount it that way, perfect. Just use it. Easy. That's got a height. Now the problem is this upper deck, which is what I'm going to be using, has got tracks underneath it. So I want to mount them that way. So I'm going to need to print a little mount that'll sit there, and basically it'll take a screw through the whole thing and it'll just hold it all in place. Or this will get glued to it and that'll have been screwed in place. It means these are pointing the wrong way. So I'm going to take these off and solder ones this side pointing upwards, because this is going to sit below the board. There's then 6mm ply, there's XPS, there's cork. And then I want the LEDs probably like that, maybe a little bit higher. But they'll be sort of so they're a little bit out of sight. So I've got to take these off anyway and solder some on point up this way. And the moment I've got to do that, I might as well solder smaller ones on. That's why I'm redoing them. Anyway, so that answers that one. I've had a couple of comments. Kelly's noted a few times now that actually the place to put the station would have been over there along the back. It's a 3D printed house. Along the back. This side could then have been the fiddle yard and running with incline tracks coming around the back or possibly around the front. Have the storage area largely hidden, the incline around the front where you can see it. Stations over there can then operate it. Most of it's inside. I would have done. The reason the station's this side is because I operate it from here, not from the middle. The layout's a duck under. There's about 3.5 foot of clearance, sort of to this point down here. Okay, yeah. I mean, I could have put it over there. I didn't. Basically, just because of the way I'm going to operate the thing. So that clears that up. It's a good idea, though. I mean, to be honest, actually the station back there would have made a lot more sense because it could have gone the full length more easily, and it could have extended into all three of those alcoves quite easily. So the track bits at the front, and I could have just put the pure building bits at the back. So it's a good idea. It just doesn't quite suit how I'm going to operate this. If I'd had a little bit more space, if I didn't need a desk and so on down here, the layout would have been a little bit wider, 8 foot instead of 7 foot. There would then be space to have the storage here, the station here, and you'd be able to see it all, or the storage the other side of the station this side, however I chose to do it. So yeah, it's a compromise. Likewise, all the wiring difficulties come from the fact this layout comes apart. It still comes apart, and with the new wiring it'll still come apart. It'll just be a little bit harder to do. To be honest, I'm hoping not to take this apart again until the time comes to remove it from down here. So yeah, the upper boards still need to come off though, so that's a headache for another day. But that's a little bit of why we are where we are. Other post. These things have arrived. This is from GWR Fasteners. Again, I'm not sponsored by them. I'm not affiliated to them. These are just... One of them's got a label that says exactly what they are. 3.4mm red fork terminals 100 pack. Didn't pay a fiver for it because I've got 500 in one go. That should do. Right. It's for the weekend. Now, another little experiment I've been doing, move around here, I may have mentioned, is uncoupling. Now, fairly obviously, tension lock uncoupling won't be too hard to do. I can just put a ramp. I sort of want an uncoupler about here. So I can just put a ramp there for tension locks. I'm moving over to KaDee. And the beauty of KaDee is they can remote uncouple. So what I did, I started to experiment with magnets. I remember these from another video. They work, but they're a bit of a pain. So what I did, I'll try and get one of these out without it going everywhere. I got some larger magnets. These are 20mm by 10mm. Just need to make sure I get this the right way round before I put it back in. Have a little 3D printed mount. Yeah, that's right. So that goes into there. Now, this is just a box. There's two magnets, and it holds them at a suitable distance. Now, this one is a 50mm wide one, and what this does is put a magnet just under the rails at either side. But what it means, if I get a couple of wagons, this is why the wagons are up here, is I can put a couple of wagons on the track. The track obviously isn't level because I'm doing this, but I can bring it over here, and if you look, that coupling is moving. So as I push this over, the couplings should, if I get the thing in the right place, of course now they're not going to for some reason. Let's just put this, yeah, right. Just couple it up, bring it back up. I've got to get the positioning right with this one. This was working perfectly the other day. There we go. It's uncoupled because the track's not level, but it uncouples. And if you then go back together over the uncoupler, you can push along, leave it, delayed uncoupling. That's what I want. So that's a 50mm wide one. And the key there is I can pull over that. I've got to get it spaced correct. If it's not spaced correctly, it doesn't work. There we go. There is a slight problem of it attracts the axles. But that was my first attempt. That's with a 50mm spacing. So if I hold that to the track, you can see the two magnets are just either side of the rails. And how it works, there's a steel pin on the bottom of the coupler. And say there's a magnet over here and one over that side. It's nearer this side, so it gets pulled over. And as it gets pulled slightly, it goes further, triggers the uncoupling. And obviously the one at the other side goes the other way. So if I just move this, get these the right way around so the magnets don't fall out. If I move that over there, you can see it moves. Magnets, wonderful things. Anyway, that was the first attempt. It's a little bit wide, so I've got another one which is 40mm, and this puts the magnets centered under the rails. So if I put that under the little piece of test track again, bring my two little wagons on here. This comes over, and again, the magnet moves, uncouples, and away we go. And the thing here, and it's partly a bad thing and it's partly a good thing, that wagon, bobbling around, that's the uncoupler being attracted to the magnet. So again, it's quite strong, uncoupled, but I can come in, I can push along, and then I can leave it. So that's a little experiment I've been doing with some rare earth magnets. Now, there's a channel called Digital Train, and they've got a system that takes a couple of these and it puts them in a box, and there's a servo that can go down and up, and that's what I need. I was originally thinking I could do these as permanent magnets under the rails. The problem then is these stronger ones will uncouple trains being pulled as well as trains being pushed. So, yeah. More experimentation needed. I need to get this working before I put more track down, because I'm going to have to cut holes in the baseboard and yada, 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 to work out where these are going. So there is more experimentation with this coming. Digital Trains channel, I've taken a little bit of inspiration from. Why don't I just use their system? Well, the problem I've got is their system's quite wide, and I need the ability to put this on a piece of track, but not have it extend much beyond the sleepers. It can on one side, go quite far on the other side, but I've got a beam of wood under here. I'm going to have a track there, And I can't really go much further than that this way because there's a bit of framing timber. So I need to make a narrower one. My original plan was to have one that hinged at that side and dropped down. But to be honest, these don't need to move that far away from the rails. If I take a couple of these little fences that I've been printing, these are something else. There's nothing to do with the railway. But if I do that and I put the magnets a little bit lower down and I roll a wagon over, doesn't do anything. Doesn't notice it. I've got to lift that up. I mean, I can get it about 5 mil below. So I've got a little bit of space to play with. But that's that. So yeah, more experimentation coming. But that is why I have a rake of wagons up here in what will eventually be the station. Big problem with these magnets, you've got to keep them far apart. They are very, very strong and they are vicious. The other thing I've been doing is playing with these style of coaches. So if I just bring one back here. These here. These are the cheap Hornby. Well, I say cheap. They're not that cheap now. These are the railroad range coaches. And they look all right. There's various guides people have of painting them. So I've had a go at painting them. This has got slightly more in it. The sole bar is too orange. That's orange brown. I'm going to have another go with beige brown. But yeah, it looks better. It's not perfect, but it looks better. My original idea was I was going to paint them a pale colour and use teak varnish. To be honest, I think that's good enough. Might need cleaning and redo the transfers. This one's got seats. Now this comes out. This is a 3D print I've been working on for the past couple of days. This is the 6th iteration. This is a very, very iterative process. So we started off somewhere, if I can find it, with version 1. Now version 1 has no seats. This was a check of, will this actually fit in the coach? Have I got the lengths right? Have I got the cutouts in the right place to fit over the various bits inside the coach, in the show? And the answer is no. So we got rid of that. Made version 2. Version 2's got some seats at the end. One of the things I found is I had to shape the end. So I put the seats in to make it a bit stronger. So that goes in. And it fits in a little bit better. But I've had to make these little cutouts in the side because there's pegs in the side that hold the glazing. I could cut those out, but I don't want to. So that went. And we have version 3 with some things enlarged, some things moved. And yeah, still not perfect. Away we went. Then I had version 4, which has now got all the seats because I was getting cocky basically, and it goes in. Yeah, it's a bit too tight. I need to shave the bottom a bit narrower as well. So then we've got version 5, which has got those bits shaved a bit narrower, and this nearly works, but it's a little bit too tall. So what I've done for version 6 is just made it a little bit lower. That's all it is. Made it a little bit lower, made the base a bit thinner, and that just fits into a coach. Fits into a coach the right way around, because these things are handed. Presses down nicely. Seats. Now they need painting. This isn't the final version. Some of these uprights aren't in quite the right place. The seats I found on Thingiverse, just as seats, and they do a first class version that's got what do you call them? Armrests. The things you rest your arm on, armrests. So I'm going to end up with a couple of third class and whatever. It then needs playing around with a little bit more because I need a way of getting a lighting rig in this. Obviously, I haven't got the roof on this, which sticks up a bit further. The idea is these will have little bits that can hold a circuit board. The components of the circuit board will be in the clerestory part of the roof and just LEDs pointing down, one into each little compartment. So that's what I've been playing with. And while I need to do a little bit more to it, it looks better. It does also actually add a little bit of weight. These coaches are quite light, and this does add a little bit of weight. Doesn't add much, but so that's 3D printed. That's the color I've printed it in, which works. This also, slightly surprisingly, this is the draft quality on the printer. This is a 0.2mm layer height, printing quite quickly. And you know what? I think with a bit of paint on it, that's perfect. Doesn't need anything else doing to it. I was thinking I might have to print these more slowly. The only thing it could do with is some passengers. Now I've got somewhere, if I reach around behind me, have I got any of these that are seated? Yes. I have got some passengers. They're not brilliant, and this one's obviously not painted, but they do fit. His legs are a bit out. Now, what I'm going to do, because when you think about it, when you sit on a chair, you don't sit on the chair, you sit slightly in the chair. What I'm going to try and do is find some STL files for passengers, and I can sit them on here digitally, so they can be recessed into the chair slightly. Then I can hit print, and I can print an insert with passengers. Then I can paint it all in one go. So that's what I'm going to have a go at. But that goes in there nicely and just drops in. When I've got this finished, there'll be two of them because I'll have to do a different one for the guard compartment. There's not really going to be a problem. When they're finished, I will put these up on my Thingiverse page. I'll check the license guide the guy did with the seats. If I can't use those seats, I will just make my own. It's not a massive job to do. They could probably do with being a bit lower down as well, the seats. They're a little bit high near the windows at the moment, so if you sort of look at that, they could probably do with being a few mil further down. It's not hard to do again. I can just grab them and lower them and slice the bottom again. It's not particularly difficult. But that's what I've been up to this week. Anyway, this is just a quick video. I've not really done a great deal because I've not been here since the last video went up, apart from just playing little experiments. So, with that, I'm going to leave this. I will catch you all in the next one. As usual, likes, comments, shares, more than welcome. Thank you very much for watching. Yeah, I'll see you again soon. Goodbye.